We have with us Angela Longati from Ushahidi. She's the Director of Community Engagement. Tell us a little about Ushahidi platform and about CrisisNet.
So maybe I could start off just with a little historical background for those who don't know. Ushahidi was born out of the post-election violence that broke out in Kenya as an opportunity for Kenyans to share messages about what was happening around them during that time. So it could be about riots, property loss, or death, and have that visualized on a map. It's also the name that we gave to the platform that was built then to allow for giving ordinary citizens an opportunity to share, to raise their voices and share about what's happening around them via technology that is already they already have access to. CrisisNet is a platform that we built a couple of years after building Ushahidi because we realized that our capacity to collect data has actually vastly increased, but the ability to make sense out of it hasn't, not so much. Being able to draw out a meaning out of the information that's been collected, and then beyond that, also looking at ways of correlating that with official sources of information. So what CrisisNet does is essentially makes the data accessible by pulling in data from different streams, whether it's from online sources, RSS feeds, blogs, Twitter, or even other official sources, as well as Ushahidi deployments, aggregating that into a single repository and making that easily accessible via a robust application programming interface, and then allowing data scientists or data journalists to be able to draw out visualizations and make meaning out of that information.
Just to add to this, how widely is the platform being used and who are the users?
For the Ushahidi platform, it's been used more than 90,000 times in the last 7 years in more than 150 countries, largely around crisis response, human rights mapping, election monitoring, some cases of environmental mapping, and then we also have some other test use cases. CrisisNet is currently still in development. We've seen a couple of interesting examples that have come out, but largely its uptake has been largely by developers who are trying to help us build it. So we're still in the process of pushing that out to the public.
Geospatial is a major part of the platforms and the various tools that Ushahidi is offering. Can you tell us a little about actively is it being used?
So I think that the maps are a huge part of allowing people to tell their stories. We talk about the maps giving, rather having the information overlaid over the maps, providing a bit of a better situational awareness for people to understand what's happening and where. The where aspect of it is extremely important for all the people out there who are getting to use the platform.
You recently hosted Ushahidi version 3 community hangout, and you've introduced a few new features. Can you please highlight the new features?
We launched just a couple of weeks ago. So the community hangouts are really more about getting people aware of what the new platform can do. We've modified the user interface to make it easier for people to interact with them via any device, whether you're on mobile phones, whether you're on laptops, whether you're on iPads or on tablets. The design is responsive. We've also added in some robust data management tools, making it much easier for decision makers to identify the data that they need to make those important decisions using things like dynamic filters, saved searches, and collections. It's also much lighter and has a better development stack. So we started off with an API-first approach, making it much easier for developers to abstract and build off of the tool that we've built.
If you could just introduce the theme for our viewers and highlight a few points.
The plenary session that I was a part of was about reaching audiences through visualizations. So mine was just to stress the importance of engaging with the audiences that would traditionally just be passive recipients of information. And I think what I used to explain that a little bit more is a theory that's called the pothole theory, right? That it takes something that affects you directly to make you go over and beyond to act. And I think that that's something that depending on what matters are affecting people, really does drive them to share their opinions and find ways of trying to help to remove themselves from those situations. So I drew examples from specifically the Nepal earthquake that broke out earlier this year, identifying how the groups, the technology groups, Kathmandu Living Labs and Nepal Monitor, made use of the platform as, to connect the ordinary citizens with humanitarian relief, and as well from the Louisiana Bucket Brigade, who are an environmental justice nonprofit organization who are trying to use eyewitness accounts to create awareness about pollution and keep companies accountable for the costs and the effects of pollution on their ecosystem. And then just looking a little broadly around, looking at data as seeds in a farm, looking at platforms like Ushahidi as, the fertile land that helps you to better understand and better access this information, but not forgetting that the people are actually the farmers of the land, people who will till it and create produce out of it. Not forgetting that citizens have a collective intelligence and have context that we always need to think about, and organizations have the capacity to actually create action or respond to the issues that are being built out there.
What is your takeaway from a platform like Ion Earth Summit? Why do you think it's crucial?
I think platforms like the Ion Earth are extremely important for us to always constantly remind ourselves of the effects of all our actions on our earth in general. We have there's a lot of depletion around our natural resources, a lot of climate change, which has a ripple effect. We're seeing a lot more cases of disasters happening. We're seeing a lot more cases of flash floods. We're seeing a lot more cases of tsunamis and earthquakes. We're seeing a lot more cases of wildfires. So this is a really good way of creating a little awareness about what exactly is happening, but also prompting us to think about what can we as ordinary citizens or as organizations that have a mandate do to make sure that this is getting fixed, and at the same time also finding new ways of harnessing the power of technology and data to make sure that we're making informed decisions around saving our planet.
Thank you so much, Angela, for taking out the time and talking to GeoBiz.
Thank you very much.